Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Anthony Foster. I am a currency trader. I guess you could say like, stock trader, currency trader. Um, and I'm creating like this video channel, YouTube channel, I guess you could call it, to give people just insight into like my life, what trading is all about, how I go about trading, kind of my journey, my story, pretty much all the ins and outs of trading for those people out there who are interested in learning about the markets. Just pretty much everything. I guess it's like a trader's YouTube channel. I don't really have a script for any of this. I'm just kind of getting on here and talking and giving you guys some insights into, what I do and what my day-to-day is. Specifically for this particular series of the channel or of the journey, it's going to be, following along, my journey and becoming a fully funded trader with the prop firm. So for those of you who aren't familiar, or, most people are familiar with the prop firm space, but for those of you who are not familiar, the prop firm space is just companies out there who have a certain amount of capital that allow retail traders like myself, meaning just I don't trade for a firm, I don't trade for like the Wall Street guys. This is all like independent retail trading for myself to have access to capital that I typically wouldn't normally have access to. So typically how trading works is you have like your personal account, your personal funds that you fund with like your money, like from your job or from whatever, your savings account. You put it into a personal account and you trade that account and you grow it over time and whatnot. A prop firm is a company that has a decent amount of capital and will allow retail traders like myself to trade these accounts, except you have to go through like a verification process. You have to go through, like a phase. Typically in phases, it's like you go through phase one where you have to pass, you have to get to, grow the account to a certain amount without breaking certain rules or parameters. And then once you get past that first evaluation phase, it's typically two, some are three, but it's typically two. And then you go to the next evaluation phase where you have to kind of replicate what you just did. Like you might have to make a 10% on an account, and then you get to the next phase, phase two or phase three, and you have to make 8% and then 6%, and then you get funded. And then you move on to the point in which these companies who, after you've proven yourself to be a, profitable, consistent trader, then you move into a space where you get to trade their capital or trade on their firm, and it's like their capital, and they pay you out typically with like a small percentage that they take. So let's just say like it's a 90-10 split. You keep 90% of the profits you earn, they take 10%, something to that effect. And there's plenty of prop firms out there. I'm not going to go into the ones that I think are the best or the worst or this and that, all that stuff. It's an industry, right? So, but I wanted to make these series for number one, for myself, like I guess quickly, I'm gonna do like a real true deep dive into like my story, word trading, how I started with trading, all the small details, all the ins and outs of, where my journey basically in trading. So I'm not gonna do that on this video particularly because like I said, I want this to be more like a series of like, hey, this day this is where the account's at, the next day this is where the account's at, the next day this is where the account's at. So I'm not gonna do like a whole lot of the, my personal journey on this story, but just real quickly, I mean, I've been trading for the past like, maybe like 8 years. I started off in 2017, again, dabbling. So I say 8 years, but you have to understand what the scope of that means. So really quickly, it's like, I started in 2017. So from 2017 to like 2020, I was just like dabbling. Like I was in and out. I was trading London session with a bunch of random friends, thinking that we were doing something. We had no idea what we were doing. We were not profitable. And then in 2018, I got a job working for Google. And when I got that job, I moved out into, it's like my first real, like my second job out of college. So I moved for that job, rent, all the stuff was, all based upon that job. So in 2018 is when I got that job. So from 2018 to 2019, I was really, really just dead set focused on, making sure that I could lock in my job like responsibilities because that was what was paying my rent. Like at the time, trading was not making really any profits. Like actually, I was losing money in the markets at that point. But again, looking at where I'm at now, based on where I was then, back then, I thought that I was, making the progress or trading at a high level. Not even close. It was more so just, I was dabbling in the market. So I think that's important to understand because when I say I've been trading for 8 years, people think like, oh, 8 years, wow, long time. Realistically, it's been um, probably about like 3 or 4 of like consistent, just laser focused leveling up and all that good stuff. So, and then obviously, you fast forward to 2020. So around 2019, I really started to lock in what I had to do with my job, and I got hired like September of 2018. So September of 2018, then 2019 to about the summer of 2019, and then the end of 2019, I started to say, okay, I've done well with my job. I feel consistent. I feel good to go. Like I feel like I'm getting some savings. And when I moved out for that job, I had like no money in my bank account, so I was like dead broke, $0. My parents actually gave me a loan for my deposit on my apartment. So like my first check I got, I had to pay them back immediately. Like that's where I was. So that's just the reality of the situation. Um, and so 2020 happened, obviously the pandemic. So now there's no more distractions. There's no more, hey, can you go out? Can we go to the bar? This and that. Like the whole city shut down. And from there, I was able to kind of refocus. And around 2020 is when I really started to refocus. I think 2021 was my first like profitable year where I actually took an account. And at the end of the year, it was not blown multiple times, or I didn't, wasn't net neutral or net negative. And so I always had a measurable for success in trading that I could, for sure say, okay, you've done, you're seeing progress, right? So then fast forward to 2022, I was actually out in London visiting some family and just kicking it. And I was doing one of these prop firm challenges, and I was on the last day of a challenge. And this all has a backstory to where we've gotten here today, so that's why I'm telling you guys this. But I was, it was the last day of the challenge, and I remember I just loaded up a bunch of positions on some random trades because I was still down like five K on a challenge. And these positions all randomly just went perfect. And I ended up passing phase one of which was my FTMO account. So for those of you who know, it was an FTMO account. This is back when they were supporting US clients. We'll get into all of that later on in all these videos and stuff like that. So long story short, um I passed like the phase one of this FTMO account, right? So back then, this is before you had like the unlimited time frame. So nowadays you have an unlimited amount of time to pass these challenges. When I was on my previous account where I had passed my first ever phase one account, after I passed the phase one, I had 60 days to make the next amount and trade to the next level to get funded. So I went 60 days, right? And I had like about 3 or 4 trades. And this is when I realized that my trading strategy needed to be adjusted because I had 4 or 5 trades, maybe like 3 trades, bro, about 3 trades in about 60 days that that materialized with the strategy that I had. And ultimately, like I think I lost one, broke even on the next, and I won like the last one, but the last one wasn't enough to get me funded. So again, because I had like one more day left, I just threw a bunch of positions. And this was not the luck of London. It did not work out this time. So I had to just go back and be like, yeah, well, I didn't pass phase two. But then that opened a very, very important hole, I guess you could say, or a lesson, or, it just was an eye opener for me that my trading strategy, uh, it was two things. Number one, it was almost based on perfection. So like the reason why I only had 3 or 4 positions over the course of almost 2 months that were really, really viable is because the environment for me to have a trade that was good to go almost had to be like it was almost so perfect because because it was so perfect, like the environment or like so many things had to go right for me to take this trade. Now, that means that I didn't have as high of a frequency strategy, meaning I didn't have trades that I could just take, every week. But when I did have a position, those trades typically went for humongous swings. And that's when I realized that like I was really, really like a not investor in the currency, but I really was holding these positions for such a prolonged period of time that you could almost say like I was borderline between trading and investing. So, and I remember telling myself distinctively, like for whatever reason, if I do not pass this phase two, I have to go back and look at my strategy to adjust it. Now, I said all that because a good, it gives you like a good understanding of like the timeline that I was in. So that was 2022. So then that's like the end of 2022. So then 2023, I say to myself, I need to figure out I need to add everything, take everything from my strategy that does work. And the one way you know that your strategy works, hopefully I'm not on a tangent too crazy. I'm not going on a crazy tangent. But one thing you should know about a strategy that does work is if you're willing to put on big boy lot sizes, big boy position sizes, and with your own personal capital on your strategy. So at the time, I was trading 5 standard positions on my strategy, like 5 standard positions 5.00, right? And that's on my old strategy. So those trades would go for like, two, three, $4,000, but it would be one trade every 2 months or one trade every 6, 7 weeks. And that's if you win that trade. Again, probability in the market, I still have to deal with the fact that I'm not going to win every trade. So I might have one trade in 6 weeks and then I lose that trade, close out with my risk management, everything's good. The account is still healthy, but now I got to wait another 6 weeks for a position. Bro, that's not why I got into this market. That's not what I wanted to do with my original vision. And it really didn't hit me until I did not pass that phase two for that FTMO account. I said it has nothing. Now, if it was an unlimited amount like I had before, I never would have switched up my strategy because I knew I had an unlimited amount of time. But because those 60 days passed and I did not pass it, I just said, bro, I have to figure out a way to have a more higher frequency trading strategy, like period. So that's what led me to doing some more online like education, right? So, and at this point, so now we're talking 2023. So from 2027 or 2017, hope I didn't say, yeah, 2017. I don't know if I said 2007, 2017. So I started in 2017, but from 2017 until 2017 until 2023. So you're looking at 6 years, right? So again, on and off, I would say 2020 was like the real benchmark. So from 2020 to 2023, that's 3 years of me like just going hard every single day, trying to get like leveling up. Again, I did because I got to the point where I was comfortable, not just like putting five standard positions on some like, oh, let's just see what happens and maybe we'll get lucky. Like, no, like I have five positions. The trade is here. Let's take it. It's very strategic, very like laser beam execution, right? So for me, that got me to the point where I said I needed to find a higher frequency trading strategy. And that was because at the time, these prop firms still had like the 30 days for phase one, 60 days for phase two. So if I have a strategy where I have one trade every 30 to 45 days, that's not conducive. I'm not going to be able to, level up on this account. So I go back to the drawing board, kind of go back to the drawing board. Technically 6 years in, but realistically, like about 3 years from 2020, I go back to the drawing board and I say, I need a higher frequency trading strategy to where my goal, and that's where I'm at right now, but my goal is to have a trade every single week. Every single week, I can look on the charts and I can say like, I might have a position on this pair, on that currency, or on this pair, on that pair, whatever. Okay. So long story shorter, I guess I go 2023 till about 20 the next like 6, 7 months. I just go back to the drawing board. I'm not trading my live account. I'm just working my job that I had at the time, and I'm basically back in training. Not at square one, but I treated it as if I had no idea what trading was, so I could relearn some strategies and take some little things from different people, different courses, different, online like mentors I found and apply that to my strategy. So fast forward to 2025 last year, 2025, one thing I was doing was the biggest difference between where I'm at now and what I was doing back then is so I learned this new strategy. I mix it in and take the gems from my strategy, my older one, and I blend that into my newer one, and I create like this really efficient approach to the markets. And there's just one thing that I did that made me because in the markets you're gonna have to still test things out, right? So like you're gonna have to go through moments where there's no data, there's no feedback. So the only way you can learn if something's working is through trial and error. AKA, I spent the entire summer of 2025. You can go look at the chart. I was trading nothing but UJ, nothing but USD, JPY, the US dollar, Japanese yen, and the summer of 2025, it just consolidated. So it just moved sideways for the entire summer. So just imagine 3 months, I'm sitting there trying to find positions and it's just consolidating. There was no bullish or bearish pressure. It was always consolidating. So at the end of the summer, I said to myself, like, this isn't working. I have the higher frequency strategy, but now I'm trading in a market that's been consolidating for the last 90 days. This is not good. I'm not having fun. This shit sucks. So I was like, what can I do? So I started moving on to adding a whole bunch of pairs. So, and that's where I'm kind of at now. So I said all of that to give you guys kind of a quick little, recap synopsis of where I'm at now, because where I'm at now is where I wanted to be, where I had to go back and adjust to learn new strategies and incorporate that with my old strategy. And then also be able to be in the markets almost every week and having an opportunity. Nowadays, if I go 2 weeks without a trade, I must have missed something because that shouldn't really happen. So I say all that because that leads me to where I'm at now with the challenges. So I'm gonna probably show you guys, I'm gonna show you guys my screen here in a second, but that leads me to where I'm at now with the challenges where these challenges are it's just a matter of, and I'll get into this later when we get, further along with the channel or whatever, but it leads it into the point where it's not so much about trading for anyone, especially for me now. It's more so about what's the meme? It's more so about the mind. Like it's more so about mentally being locked in and being focused to where you can just break it through because I got to the point where I'm telling myself all you have to do is just wake up in the morning and you're good. So just to give you guys the recap or whatever of like how I got to where I'm at now. So with that being said, like I have absolutely no like I wouldn't make these videos if I didn't have supreme confidence that uh I'll be fully funded here like on multiple accounts and I have a level up plan for all these accounts. And I've done it before, so this is just me documenting it so you guys can see it because I think it'd be cool not only for me to look back and be like, damn, remember when you were trying to get funded, this and that, but also for people to see like, okay, like this guy is showing me where he was at then, here he is now, and he's doing what he's doing. Okay. So that's where we're at. And so that's what this series is just going to be. It's going to be a little series just following along with each of my positions. Anytime I take a win or a loss, whatever, little gem, there are no losses in trading, only wins and lessons. And that's in life too. But any loss that you take is never a loss if you learn from it. Now, if you don't learn from the loss, the perceived loss, then yeah, you took an L. But once I learned that, I never took a loss in trading ever again because there's lessons in every time you close out the market, there's a lesson. But even if I take a lesson on the market, I'm going to show you guys that, and obviously I'm going to show you guys the wins, show you guys the account, show you guys the progress and all that stuff, so you can just see where we're at. But I've been trading this account that I'm going to show you here. Um, so, um, just so you guys can see like where I'm at with everything. So let's see. Let me see where we're at. Uh, so just that way you guys can see, just follow along, I guess, like with this entire thing. And I don't know how many people this is gonna reach, but I'm really just making this for whoever wants to end up watching it and seeing the process. So pretty sure you guys can see this. I'll move this over here so you guys can see that. Go ahead and put this right here. Damn, bro, have you ever used tech before? God damn. All right, hold on. Let me see. Get out of here real quick. Damn, it was just working. Oh, here we go. Is that it? That's not it. Hmm. All right, I'll figure that out next time. Anyways, so okay, so if you guys can see my screen, I hope you guys can. I'm only seeing like something on my end. But anyway, so yeah, so this is the account I've been trading. So I've been trading this account for a little bit. You can see it started out at 100,000. So we're a little bit almost about six. I got up to seven. So I took a couple trades. I took a trade last week. So, but anyways, you can see. So like here we are back in March. So I've had this account for a little bit. So oh yeah, so a life update. I guess I didn't put that in here, but life update right around March. I actually started a job on March 16th, a new job. So I work a lot of contract jobs in tech. That's why like I work remote. It's all good and all that. And I always told myself if I didn't have to, if I wasn't a trader, if I didn't have any other aspirations, like I've done pretty well in tech. So I'm not like I'm always grateful for that for sure. Gratitude is the strongest form of, law of attraction and all those type of things, which I do believe in. Like I said, we'll get into all the stuff later, but um so I started a job on March 16th. So you can see I flatlined for about 2 months because I had to learn this new job. Because yeah, at the end of the day, like it's still trading alone wasn't covering everything right now. That's why I'm doing the prop firm challenges so I can have more capital to just be a completely independent trader, like no no job ever again. Like obviously that's the goal, you know. But this is I had to focus on my job because they are important. And another thing people don't realize about being a full-time trader is that you have to take into account like benefits and all that stuff as well. Like it's important to make sure you can go to the dentist and shit, you know. So that's another thing that is another, and you know, I'm grateful for my jobs. Like I said, I just also have like my vision and my dream. So that's already happened. So but anyways, this is the reason why I kind of like flatlined for a little bit, and then I took a couple trades. So anyways, we're at about 105. So I got up to 107. The goal on this are $100,007. The goal or $107,000. The goal for this account is just 10K. All I gotta do is make it to 110K, and you pass this phase one. So this should be relatively simple. So if you're looking at like my snapshot, let's see. Hmm. I might have to relog in. Okay, so here we are, looking at the snapshot here. You can see, let's just go back to March. Yes, we'll go a little bit further. Let's go back to February. So I've had this account for a while. So the biggest thing that I wanted to share with you guys about my personal trading growth as well on these videos is that number one, you see like these are all great closeouts that I've had, like this $90, this 300, this 374. Like that's perfectly fine. That's a normal day for me. These wins like this, the 700 win right here, the 611 win right here. Um, the 2000 win right here at 2500 on that trade, 1000 right here on this trade. Number one, I'm just showing you guys this so you know that I actually can do this shit and that you know I'm not just talking crazy. But these close, so this was is this March? So this is April. I didn't really trade all of April because of you know everything with the job and stuff. But even like yeah, this loss right here, loss right there, uh, win right here. So the important thing I want people to know and realize is that these the second biggest thing as far as my frequency, the frequency of my trades being a thing, the next biggest thing you have to remember is that these wins right here, these should be so much more colossal wins. I suffered from what many traders suffered from, and that was you get into positions and yeah, you had like a loss these past 2 days, and then you actually find the win, but you close the win out early. You know, you close the win out early. This trade right here probably should have gone for maybe two, 3,000, but it's being closed out early, right? Then you get into March, right? Even this trade, this was a real big boy trade, you know, 25, I like that, pretty solid, but you probably still even closed out early. This one too, probably still closed out a little bit earlier. So the reason why I'm pointing this out is because when you have those trades where you do win, um, but you don't win like the trades that you do win, you need to maximize those positions. And that's something that I had to learn. And I think that's something that every single trader has to learn, has to go through. You know what I mean? Like I think that's just what you have to just go through. So yeah, I'm not going to get into all the details on the account. I just want to show you guys the account so that way you guys can see it. And hopefully I don't have to blur anything out. But if I do when I actually drop this video, you know, we'll figure that out. But um yeah, so like, you know, that's just where the account's at. So you know, it's pretty much easy to get there. And I know that getting funded is easy, and the reason why I pointed out those positions is because on top of the frequency that I learned, I also learned that in order for me to achieve what I want to achieve in the markets, I'm going to have to be able to hold positions. So what I've done now is my ROI on these positions, it has to be 70% of my overall target. If I'm not up 70%, I have to just hold it out. So even if I like drop below, say I go up, say I'm trying to catch 100 pips and I'm at 50 pips and that 50 pips now drops down to 20, it's okay because I'm all or hold or nothing. Like that's what I came up with. Some people have like these really cool sayings for however they go about thinking about it. But really it's like hold or nothing. And it really helped my trading just get better. But this is and that's why I'm so happy about this. I'm gonna stop sharing real quick. That's just I just want to show you guys the account. I'm about to wrap this video up. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but um let's see, am I still? So yeah, so that's what I'm really happy about this video as well is you guys get to see like how I'm improving as a trader that you know maybe you saw me struggling with something right now in this moment and then like years down the line you're like oh remember when he was going through that and somebody watches this and says oh I'm going through the same thing or here's his story. Now I can relate to it, this and that. Like I said, I'm gonna get into all the details and give you guys an in-depth, like, Anthony Foster's story as far as becoming a trader and leveling up in the markets. But one of the biggest things that you guys are gonna see with me now is, like I said, I'm going to be holding these positions through the full move to take advantage of these full real wins because I have no problem. I have sniper entries. I have elite discipline exits when I need to close out a trade. I know exactly when to get out, and I always do. And more often than not, like say I close out a buy up here, it usually drops. Or if I close out a sell right here, it'll usually rise like so much more. So when I see that, that's also evidence. And that's why I said there's no wins and losses, it's wins and lessons. Because even on some of these closeouts, I can see that had I not closed it out, it would have gone crazy and probably blew the account. Or had I not closed it out up here, it would have dropped and probably blew the account. So that's evidence, right? But what I have had to learn, and that's where this season is for me right now, as far as what I'm doing to improve, as far as being a trader, being, one of the greatest ever, is I have to go about maximizing my wins and positions, period. And I think every great trader, every interview I've ever watched of any of the great traders or anybody in this industry who's done it at the level that I intend to take it to, mentally I'm already there. It's just a matter of the universe catching up and stuff like that. But I think they all talk, like all the great traders speak on how they went through this phase where they would close out positions too early because they had some profit and they wanted to secure that profit. Whereas the great ones get to the point where they know for a fact that they don't have to close out that profit because their projection is so much more, and that's what the game is. So, yeah. So, anyways, like I said, I don't even know, like, I don't want to ramble and stuff like that on these videos. I didn't even have like an agenda for this one, really. I'm just kind of talking, but that's going to be the whole premise behind all these videos. I hope you guys get some knowledge and get some, cues from it. And it's also good for me because it helps me keep it, me stay accountable. I mentioned earlier that like, this game requires discipline outside of the charts, just like a sport. That's why I love it. I'm a former athlete, actually a lifelong athlete, in my opinion. I don't compete anymore technically, but lifelong athlete is the mentality. So maintaining discipline outside of your craft or outside of your sport is just as important. And trading is no different. In fact, it's probably even more amplified in the space of trading because of the fact that it's so mentally, it's such a mentally focused game that you have to stay, mentally sharp. And I think being disciplined outside of the charts is something you have to do. And that's even right now where I'm taking that next level as far as just being focused. So. But the biggest thing you guys are going to see me with this account is going to be like, holding those positions for the full move because closing out's not an issue. Entries aren't an issue. I can analyze the market with the most elite traders in the world. My last little progression is going to be just holding these positions a little longer. And that's why these videos are good for me as well. So like, I mean, I'm going to post them and stuff, but I really could care less about views and all that. It's really just a matter of maybe I can go back and watch some videos and be inspired by seeing myself do it, and then also like watching film, like a game, like an athlete, and seeing this is where I need to improve, this is where I need to get better, etc. Okay, so yeah, appreciate y'all. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this journey. I'm looking forward to showing you guys how to get it done as a trader. Like I said, I wish I kind of started this when the account was at baseline, but I have made some trades in the past. But I mean, better late than never. So I'm just gonna make the videos on these account and we'll go from there. So right now it's May 23rd, 2026. So the goal is to have this account passed and funded by the end of June, and we'll go from there. So I will yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one. I'm actually gonna do another video right now. So this is gonna be an analysis of the market, but